everybody, and a very warm welcome to the circuit to Barcelona and Catalunya for the final round of the 2017 Euroformula Open season. It has been an 8-month or so tour around some of Europe's finest circuits, and the season, as is traditional, comes to a close here at the home of the Spanish Grand Prix. It seems a very long time since we're in Estoril at the end of April. Since then, the championship has been decided in favour of Harrison Scott, who wrapped it up in Monza. We've had the rookie championship decided in favour of Nikita Troitsky, but we've still got third place in the championship to race for, as you join myself, Ben Evans, on a glorious autumnal day here in Barcelona. The day getting very nice and warm as the cars heading to the grid. I'm also delighted to say that I'm joined by 2017 Euroformula Open champion Harrison Scott. And well, Harrison, we'd like to see you on track, but at least you're giving somebody else a chance to win.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously very different being this side of the racetrack, but no, happy to be here. Obviously supporting RP for this race, and yeah, no, let's see what happens.
And RP Motorsport having a good weekend. Felipe Drugovich, who's one of 3 wildcards making their debut in the championship this weekend. Pole position yesterday, nearly won the race, but for sliding off on turn 4, and he is well up on the grid again for today.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, Felipe stepping in for my shoes for this weekend. No, but it's really good for him to obviously be starting P2 for this second race, and yeah, had a really good debut in qualifying yesterday as well.
Another of your RP Motorsport teammates, Lodovico Laurini, heading to the grid now as Pedro Cardoso, one of the brace of Teo Martin Motorsport drivers, comes to his marks. And there is Amaya Vaidyanathan, the Indian, who set pole position in qualifying earlier on. And Amaya, back to the sort of form that we saw earlier on in the year. He'd had a fairly barren streak without being on the podium, but he finished right up there yesterday, second position, and the chance maybe to claim a second win of the year today. So Vaidyanathan heading towards the grid, and they're forming up directly in front of our commentary box in the shadow of the gigantic grandstand that we've got here in Barcelona and Catalunya. Nikita Troitsky, another driver who has been there or thereabouts all year. He's going to finish second in the championship standings, but he hasn't yet claimed a race win. And Harrison, this Barcelona circuit, it can be tricky to overtake. Yeah,
no, certainly, obviously, with Barcelona having lots of long, fast corners in single-seaters, certainly in F3 with the high aero, it does become very hard to overtake cars in front. Obviously, main reason being is that when you're following closely behind, the car in front punches a big hole of air in front of you, and you're kind of then driving with no air, and obviously the air is giving you the downforce, and if that isn't there, then suddenly your car becomes light and becomes hard to drive. So it's going to be a very tough race for sure. I think lots of the overtaking is going to be done in the first lap, but no, it should be interesting.
Yeah, what we saw yesterday is that we saw overtaking opportunities into turn 1 at the end of the long start and finish straight, turn 10, which is the tight left-hander at the end of the backstretch, also through turns 4 and 5 as well. So the front row of the grid is going to comprise of Amaya Vaidyanathan and Felipe Drugovich, with then row 2, Nikita Troitsky and Yanni Fitcher. Yesterday's race winner, Devlin De Francesco, lining up in 6th place. Didn't quite get the lap that he wanted in qualifying, as the 5-minute board is shown to the drivers. And have a look down pole position of Amaya Vaidyanathan. You've done this a lot this year, Harrison, sitting on pole. What's going through your mind as you're getting ready for the race?
Well, obviously the important thing is just trying to get a nice clean start with no problems. Obviously you want to try and capitalise on your pole position, and obviously most of the hard work goes into that qualifying. So really it's just trying to get a nice clean start, good quick reaction off the lights, and yeah, obviously then just trying to put away and trying to get into the lead at turn 1.
Quick glimpse of Felipe Drugovich lining up second on the grid. And yesterday from second, Nikita Troitsky didn't get away too well. He's on the dirty side of the road yesterday. He's on the clean side of the road today, lining up in 3rd position with the Drivex team. Troitsky, another driver, has a very successful campaign, claimed the rookie championship in Jerez, has wrapped up second in the standings, but that elusive first win is what he's going to be going for.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's going to want to end the season on a high, and if he can get that win in the last race, then that would be probably a great end to the year for him.
And then Yanni Fitcher, fourth on the grid, another of the RP Motorsport runners, the German making the switch ahead of the Monza round, and it's paid off for him because he's had a run of very solid results thereafter, and is one of three drivers in contention for third in the standings in today's race. Devlin De Francesco is currently third on 157 points, Amir Weidenheithen 8 points back on 149, then Yanni Fitcher a 10-point deficit to close up on De Francesco. Fifth on the grid, the Australian Joey Mawson, another of the wildcard entries this weekend with the BVM team. Unlucky not to finish yesterday after he collided with Cameron Dass heading down towards turn one, having got caught up in a fairly frenetic start to the race. And sixth on the grid, Devlin De Francesco, another of the Carlin runners. De Francesco focused on the job ahead. The challenge for him is once you get back to third, fourth row of the grid, you've got a lot of ground to try and cover. And as you say, Harrison, the first lap is when you can make the most ground. Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, starting where he is, he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to try and replicate yesterday. Yeah, again, he just needs to get a clean start and obviously try and pick up as many places as he can on the first lap, because thereafter it's going to be really hard to overtake unless someone kind of makes a mistake. And Alex Karkozik lining up in 7th position, and he is in pursuit of a third podium of the season, and then he'll share the 4th row of the grid with Lorenzo Colombo, another of our new entrants. So here's how they'll line up in full then. Amir Weidenheithen and Felipe Drugovic on the front row. Row 2, Nikita Troitsky and Yanni Fitcher. Row 3, Joey Mawson and Devlin De Francesco. And row 4, Alex Karkozik and Lorenzo Colombo. Any one of them could win this race. Simo Laaksonen and Petru Floresco from the 5th row, clear of Thiago Vivacqua. And then Ben Hingley in 12th. On to row 7, all Campos, Cameron Dass and Mateus Iorio, with Lodovico Laurini and Guilherme Samaya on row 8. Row 9, Christian Hahn and Eliseo Martinez with the top 20, completed by Tarun Reddy, who brought out the red flag with a spin in qualifying earlier on, and Pedro Cardoso and Daniel Pranenko rounds out the field in 21st place. So it's going to be a 17-lap race, or 35 minutes if we have a prolonged safety car period, which hopefully we will not, although we did have the safety car out yesterday. And the driver's just waiting for the signal to be released on to their green flag formation lap. So the 1 minute board is about to be shown. And what do you do, Harrison, on the formation lap? Have you got a routine that you go through? Yeah, obviously it's very track dependent. The weather here is obviously quite warm, so you don't want to put too much heat in the tyres and ultimately kind of get the peak of them. But no, it's very important to get enough temperature in so that you get off the line nice and clean with no wheel spin. But then on the flip side, you don't want to have too much heat that you then grip up off the line and bog down. So it's really just trying to get that fine balance. And but certainly here at Barcelona, they shouldn't struggle too much with getting temperature into the tyres. Well, just seconds away then from the formation lap ahead of the final race of the 2017 Euroformula Open season, and the paddock, as ever here, Circuit de Barcelona and Catalunya, very busy this weekend with spectators, sponsors, supporters. As green flag is shown now, and Amir Weidenheithen leads them away on towards turn 1. The field pulling off the line, somebody in trouble further back down the grid. I fear it's one of the Teo Martin cars that was a little bit slow getting underway. Seems to all be good now. So where are the critical points where you can gain time around this circuit? Well, I think obviously in terms of trying to make a pass, the last sector is probably the slowest sector on the track. So that's where you're kind of going to gain the most time and run as close to the car in front. And then obviously from that last sector, you've got a big long straight onto the main straight. So it's really important to get a good exit at the final sector. Turn 1 should be quite difficult to run too closely, obviously with the fast turn 3 and long turn 4 corners. But no, I think sector 3 is where you're going to be gaining most of your time up here. Well, they're currently heading through turn 5. The road just falling away downhill through the left-hander. Glimpse there of the Fortec car of Petru Florescu, the Romanian, qualifying up inside the top 10. And then we've got Alex Karkozic in 7th position. Lorenzo Colombo in the Campos car, number 4, we just saw him there. He was the quickest driver in free practice on Friday. The driver who finished 3rd in the Italian Formula 4 Championship this year, and didn't have the greatest of starts yesterday, which cost him a chance of a podium. And from 8th on the grid today, he's got a fair amount of ground to make up. But it's often the case, somehow, in these final races of the year, that the usual rules of physics and aerodynamics don't seem to apply, and drivers can pull a miracle out of the box if they really need to. Yeah,
definitely. Obviously, everyone's going to want to go out in this last race with a great result, so they're going to be trying 110%, and for sure, I think if there's going to be any overtaking, then certainly in this last race today, you're going to see lots of it.
So in terms of the colours to watch for Amir Vardeniathan, he is in the royal blue Carlin car. Felipe Drugovich in the silver, black and fluorescent orange RP Motorsport car, and he's got a blue and purple helmet. Nikita Troitsky is the SMP livery Drivex entry, so that is the car with the blue nose cone and then the white body to the car. Yanni Fitcher in a very similarly coloured car to that of Felipe Drugovich, but Yanni has got a black and orange lid, and that's how you can tell him apart as Vardeniathan pulls into his marks. This is the moment of peak tension in the Carlin pit box. If Vardeniathan finishes ahead of Devlin De Francesco today, or more than 8 points ahead of Devlin De Francesco today, rather, that's going to be enough to give him 3rd in the championship. So victory for Vardeniathan would go a long way to securing that. The last few cars coming into position. All smiles in the Campos pit box as Tarun Reddy and Daniel Pranenko come into their positions. It's been a great season of racing in the Euroformula Open. Let's go out on a high as the last race of the 2017 campaign gets underway any second now. So the revs rise, and away we go. Who gets to jump off the line? It's a good getaway from Nikita Troitsky, but he's going to be bottled in as Drugovich draws alongside Vardeniathan, and it's Amir Vardeniathan who's lost out. Felipe Drugovich is going to lead from Yanni Fitcher and Nikita Troitsky. Joey Mawson also well up as Troitsky slots through into 2nd place. Mawson goes for 3rd, he makes it stick but runs wide. Vardeniathan will claim 3rd as they head through turn 3, sweeping uphill. They're all cleanly through, but it's frantic stuff as they head towards turn 4. And the order is Felipe Drugovich from Nikita Troitsky, then Amir Vardeniathan, Joey Mawson and Devlin De Francesco swoops through into 5th.
That was a very tight first corner there, certainly between Joey Mawson and Janez there. But luckily they both got through, no contact.
Almost contact as well there as Lorenzo Colombo was looking to the inside as one or two of them get just pushed out a little bit wide. Ben Hingley busy defending from Mateus Iorio, and then a whole squadron of his Campos teammates as they climb up to turn 9, swoop downhill. Now the braking zone into turn 10 is also where we could see a little bit of a sort out. But actually the leading gaggle of cars all relatively separate from each other. It is possibly Cameron Dass there jinking to the inside of Alex Karkozic, and Karkozic's really lost out through this first lap. He's dropped down to 10th position. But for Amir Vardeniathan, this is, or for Felipe Drugovich rather, this is absolutely dream circumstances. He converted 2nd on the grid, and he's got the advantage over Nikita Troitsky.
Yeah, great start from the dirty side of the grid as well. So he did really well to get into the lead at turn 1 there.
But Nikita Troitsky is right in the tow behind the Brazilians. They head towards turn 1. I don't think he's going to be quite near enough to challenge. That is going on further back as Petru Florescu has got Simo Laaksonen looking to the outside of him, and Laaksonen swoops through, moves into 8th position. Florescu now under immediate pressure from Alex Karkozic, and Karkozic has had great pace through the second half of the year. Maybe not such great luck, but this now is going to be a good tussle because Drugovich, he wants to try and pull clear, but Troitsky's right with him. Down through turn 5, and if you're Nikita Troitsky, Harrison, what are you doing now to try and move into the lead?
You're just trying to force, obviously, Felipe into a mistake, but yeah, Felipe just got to keep his cool, not look too much in his mirrors, and yeah, obviously he's shown strong pace all weekend, so he should be able to keep him behind, but Yeah, I think Nikita's really just trying to force him into a mistake. Obviously, keep trying to feel Felipe's mirrors as much as he can.
And likewise, Amir Vaidyanathan's got Joey Mawson busy filling his mirrors. Now, in terms of championship points, because Felipe is an entrant just to the final round, he's not scoring or blocking points. So Nikita Troitsky would be netting the full 25 points for the race win if things stay as they are, with Amir Vaidyanathan, although he's third, getting the 18 points for second. But with Devlin DeFrancesco, the third of the point scoring positions at the moment, that would secure third in the standings for the Canadian. As the race leaders blast through, and Troitsky again, he's right with Felipe, and Nikita Troitsky, is he going to be close enough to pull the trigger and go for the move? Something you don't quite appreciate, Harrison, from the TV pictures is the braking distances of these four Euroformula Open cars are so short that unless you're right with the car in front, it's really difficult to outbrake them. Yeah,
they've got so much aero, and relative to speed as well, it's not massively high. So, I mean, every braking distance, you're well within 100 metres. So it's really difficult to make that pass, and you've got to be super brave on the brakes.
And also, you've got to hope that you've caught your rival a little bit by surprise. But in terms of the spectacle for us, as Drugovic and Troitsky battle, it is going to give Amir Vaidyanathan the chance to come and close up to this scrap as well, because we're constantly talking about thousandths, hundredths of a second here. If you delay yourself half a second on lap, the gaps just suddenly compress.
Yeah, certainly. And if Nikita's filling his mirrors with in front of Felipe, then he's just going to struggle. He's going to worry about him too much and probably make mistakes and slow himself down.
They head out of turn 10. This is the third lap of 17, and really we've got this train of cars all the way up to and including Lorenzo Colombo in 7th position, who are running pretty closely together. Then we've got a gap of a couple of seconds back to Laxonen in 8th place. But again, Troitsky, as per your advice, getting a good run through the chicane and trying to line up the toe behind Drugovic down the start and finish straight. But he's not near enough this time around. The toe's going to drag him closer, but he's a 10th adrift of the Brazilian relative to where he was a lap ago. And so Nikita Troitsky not quite close enough to make the bid. Behind, though, there is a challenge, and it is Karkozic alongside Petru Florescu. This is going to be tight on the brakes as Florescu swoops across. He was not going to give that to Alex Karkozic.
No, not that easy there.
Now, here is a replay of Mateus Iorio to the inside of Ben Hingley, and I think he maybe not been successful. Nope. Ben has still got the position as Troitsky looks to try and close back up to the tail of Felipe Drugovic. But again, Harrison, we talked about the aero. The challenge is you get so much turbulent air from the car in front that you can't see on the TV, but it just makes it really hard to drive right underneath their gearbox.
Yeah, you tend to lose just front grip, so you go into the corner having a lot more understeer than you would normally, which is just then causing you to hesitate a bit on the power. So it's really fine art to try and run close to the car in front, and that's why it does seem quite hard to overtake as well.
But at the same time, Drugovic unable to romp clear of Nikita Troitsky at the moment. Lorenzo Colombo in 7th, pursuing Ficcia in 6th. Then it's Devlin DeFrancesco in 5th. Joey Mawson is 4th. Vaidyanathan 3rd. And this has been a good lap, though, from the race leader in terms of stretching the field a little bit. Across the line they go. And the gap from first, second, 0.6 of a second. Then it's over a second now back to Amir Vaidyanathan in 3rd, with Mawson in 4th, 0.8 adrift, and DeFrancesco in 5th, hoping to try and pick his way up through the field. But in terms of managing the Michelin tyre through the race, is there an art to that, to try and conserve some life in the tyre for late on? Yeah,
definitely. Obviously, the harder you push at the start, then you're really going to struggle a little bit towards the end of the race. So it's really just trying to minimise wheel spin. Obviously, it's quite hard to do. Certainly at the start of the race, you really are trying to be aggressive to build a nice gap. But it's just about staying calm. Obviously, knowing where you're strong, what sectors you're going to be strong at, and utilising that to the car behind.
And frustratingly for Nikita Troitsky, he is apparently a little bit quicker than Felipe Drugovich through all the corners on the track where he can't overtake. But then that could also be technique for the Brazilian. You focus on your exit speed, get the run onto the straights, and there's not an awful lot the cars behind you can do about it.
No, Nikita's doing a good job to run so closely to Felipe here. So I think if he can keep pressuring him like this, and then he's obviously chances the hope Felipe makes a mistake.
Well, yesterday Felipe was leading comfortably, then took a trip through the gravel at turn 4, and I'm sure that Nicky and the rest of the RP team will have made it clear that that's not something that's going to be repeated this afternoon.
No, definitely not. Let's hope so. Because I think RP, certainly with the pace they've shown again over this weekend, they've had a strong car, so it'd be nice for them to go out with a win, and certainly with the new boy.
However, Troitsky still keeping him honest. Now, further back, Lorenzo Colombo looking to make the move for 6th place, or is he? The camera angle foreshortens it, but the Italian appears to be right there as he darts the inside. Great move from Lorenzo Colombo. Snatches 6th position. He was in the tow and came out at the last possible moment. And we saw this yesterday with the Italian. He was able to make really great progress up through the order. And the RP team on the pit wall, do they talk too much during the race?
Sometimes not. It all depends on really the situation. Certainly for me, sometimes this year with my English and their Italian, it's in the heat of the moment when you're trying to say certain things they might not understand. So we try and keep it as limited as possible, obviously saying the important stuff, unless obviously there's something really important to say. But during the racing, it's quite limited, so you can focus on it.
Meanwhile, Devlin De Francesco right up with Joey Mawson in the fight for 4th and 5th, and still Nikita Troitsky is staying with Felipe Drugovich. Now, De Francesco has been one of the best overtakers in the field all the way through the course of the season, so will he be able to move up into 4th, overhaul the 2016 German Formula 4 champion, Joey Mawson, jinking through the chicane, and De Francesco trying to get that run on to the start and finish straight. As Drugovich punches the hole through the air, there's not quite as much of a breeze as there was yesterday, which really made for quite a pronounced slipstreaming effect. Today it's not quite as easy to get up to the car in front. And it means that by the time we get to the end of the straight, De Francesco is there, but he's not passed. There is a move further back. It's Alex Karkozik on Petru Florescu. They've got previous. Florescu has to concede this time as Karkozik swoops around the outside. And no opportunity to retaliate just yet. Instead, Florescu might have to worry a little bit more about the progress of Ben Hingley just behind him in 11th. And Hingley's bringing Mateus Iorio with him for company. Back to the lead of the race, and if you're Nikita Troitsky, what tactics do you deploy now? We're at about 1/3 race distance. There's a lot of racing to go. Do you go for a move, or do you just sit and wait and see how it unfolds?
Well, I suppose at this stage in the championship, he's got nothing to lose now. He's already secured 2nd in the rookie championship, so I mean, you can look at it as going for a win and seeing if you can pull off an amazing move, but also you don't want to end the year in a crash, so you're kind of in a hard situation. Yeah,
certainly if you give the mechanics a wrecked car at the last race of the season, it's a very, very long walk to Barcelona Airport from this circuit, as you could potentially discover. Meanwhile, the fight for 3rd, it just keeps feeling like it's going to crackle into life, because one moment you have a look and Devlin De Francesco's right with Joey Mawson. The next moment, Mawson is clawing in to Amaya Weidenreithen's advantage. And that last lap for Weidenreithen was a 1:40.6 versus a 1:40.4 for Joey Mawson. So he closes up a couple of tenths of a second towards Weidenreithen. He brings De Francesco with him for company. Through the opening couple of turns, this the 7th of 17 laps. And Lorenzo Colombo, having moved up into 6th, unable to close in quite as quickly as he would have liked to the battle ahead of him, and also closing up as well to this leading train of cars is Simo Laaksonen, who's now just a second adrift of Gianni Fitcher in 7th place. So the gap's starting to close up a little bit. And what's interesting for me, Harrison, is there's quite a few of the drivers who are able to appear to be quite comfortable in the turbulent air.
Yeah, it's certainly very interesting around here. As I say, through sector 2 with the high speed, if someone has got a bit of a pace advantage over the car in front, then they are able to run that bit closer. So I think it's just obviously pace dependent, and as you see there, Devlin is quite close to Joey. So you'd say at the moment Devlin's got a bit more pace to be able to run that close to him.
And obviously all the drivers will talk about the setup for the car for the weekend. Can you explain a little bit, maybe for somebody who's not seen one of these races before, exactly what that means?
Yeah, there's so much you can change on a race car. Obviously, the idea for the teams is to come here with the best base setup as possible. So when it comes to a race weekend, you haven't got to focus too much on... Ooh.
And that's Taryn Reddy to the inside of Christian Hahn. They are teammates, and they're both under investigation for that.
Little nudge off the track there.
Yeah, so just wondering whether Nikita's just riding a little bit less wing on his car, and that's allowing him to stay tight on the straight, but then he's also able to stay tight through the corner as well.
Yeah, I mean, it could even be the other way around, maybe with a little bit more downforce, so he's able to run really close in the medium and high speed section, and then the toes bring them along nicely.
So they're teammates and countrymen, but no love lost there between Tiago Vivacqua and Mateus Iorio, as Vivacqua, who is one of a select handful of drivers to have won a race this year, which he did at the Hungaroring, is having a slightly harder afternoon of it. He's currently in 12th position as Troitsky looks to close up to the tail of Felipe Drugovich. These battles, as we're just around about half race distance, we'll see how they pan out over the second half of the race. Certainly the fight for third, fourth and fifth is closing up, and now Lorenzo Colombo is looking to try and latch onto this fight as well.
Yeah, the front two are pulling clear now, certainly from Amaya in P3. Felipe and Nikita, they've got a good pace advantage here, so yeah, no, them two are going along nicely.
And Troitsky would appear to be a little bit closer to Felipe once more. He'd brought the gap down to half a second through the end of the second sector. They come past our commentary box, which is just at the start of the start-finish stretch now. Not sure that Troitsky is going to be close enough by the time they get to the braking zone. Let's have a look. No, he's not. Still 2 or 3 car lengths adrift. And Amaya responded reasonably well on that last lap, matching Joey Mawson stride for stride. And more inter-team squabbles. This time Pedro Cardoso and Eliseo Martinez. And that's Cardoso to the inside of Cameron Das.
That was a great move.
Yeah, very late, wasn't it?
Very.
And also, it's worth explaining, with the aerodynamic grip on these cars, it's a very strange experience compared to a road car, because you just turn into a corner and it just grips.
Yeah, the faster you go, the more cornering speed you're able to have, and the more the aero works. So it's really kind of mind over matter a little bit, and yeah, obviously it's just trying to bring that confidence, certainly in the high speed, up.
Into the pit lane then was Tarun Reddy after the squabble with Christian Hahn, and they are well now 20th and 21st place respectively as a result of that wheel bang. This has been a good response lap though from Felipe Drugovich. He moves a couple of tenths further clear in Nikita Troitsky, and it just means that Troitsky's not going to have the opportunity to challenge the Brazilian as they head through to turn 1 on this occasion. The same arguably the case for Joey Mawson in pursuit of Amaya Weidenathan. But in terms of the level of concentration, Harrison, we're talking here about gaps that are ebbing and flowing by 100th of a second over a 4.6 kilometre lap. How do you maintain that focus during the race?
Yeah, it's very tough. It's just all about staying focused, not worrying too much about what the people behind you and also the people in front are doing, but sticking to what you know, obviously braking points, references, and yeah, just really focusing on putting the fast lap times in. But when it's hot, it certainly becomes tougher. Luckily here we haven't got too much heat, but no, it looks like certainly Felipe out front's doing a great job.
Is this a tough circuit physically with all the long radius mid-speed corners?
Yeah, it is I think the medium to high-speed corners are very tough, and here at Barcelona you have some long, medium and high-speed corners, so that puts extra strain on your core and your neck. And physically, these F3 cars have no power steering as well, so it's very tough on your arms. But I mean, fitness is so important.
So the BVM team watching the progress of Joey Mawson. And if he were to get on the rostrum, by my reckoning, that would be the first podium for the team since Alessio Rivera going back a couple of seasons ago. As for Mawson, the pursuit of Weidenathan as yet is not looking as if it's going to be overly successful. If Amaya were to finish in third, this would be his first weekend of the year where he's been on the podium in both races. Now, the next battle that could come together is that Simo Laaksonen in eighth is quite rapidly reeling in Yanni Fitcher. Now, the pair of them have gone wheel to wheel in many races this season as the leaders swoop through the opening couple of turns. This does the fight for third and fourth. And interestingly, Joey Mawson now is just able to open a little bit of daylight over Devlin De Francesco.
Yeah, it looks like obviously pulled a 10th, how much was that? Yeah, just a 10th on him on that last lap. So it's very close, as you say, just to and fro in lap from lap.
Nikita Troitsky, again, he's got to within half a second of Felipe Drugovich. Oh, and this is a lot closer. Ben Hingley has got a gaggle of cars all fighting on his tail. He's defending from Guilherme Samaya, Mateus Iorio and Pedro Cardoso. And it's Iorio who draws alongside Samaya. Looks one way, then the other into turn 5. No space there. Oh, they almost make contact. They just about avoid. No, they don't avoid contact. Oh, more contact. They interlock wheels. And the wheel banging continues as Pedro Cardoso turns to the inside of Samaya. How did he fit through there? And he somehow jinks through and gains the position. And a somewhat furious Cardoso still keeps Samaya behind him.
That's turned out really well for Ben as well. He's managed to pull a bit of a gap here from that.
I'm just looking. Oh, and Eliseo Martinez also to the inside of Guilherme Samaya. Now, did Guilherme pick up a little bit of damage through that contact as Cameron Das tries to challenge as well? Certainly a front wing end plate making a bid for freedom. And Samaya fends off Das as leaping across the curbs was Eliseo Martinez, and the American Cameron Dash should have a good run on Guilherme Samaya this time as they run down the main straight. Samaya consults his mirrors, pulls right across to the inside and then moves back across to try and defend the line as Das carves in front and makes the move stick. And that's a great illustration, Harrison. You defend over aggressively into one corner and you lose 4 positions. Yeah,
as soon as you go offline, obviously you pick up a lot of dirt and a lot of extra rubber onto your tyres, and then certainly for the next half a lap to a lap, you're decreasing in grip, and it then becomes a big struggle to keep the pace you had. So then you're gonna kind of have lots of cars tripping all over you.
And also, if you start to have aerodynamic devices being knocked loose or coming off the car, it just alters the balance.
Yeah, no, exactly. It looks like a front end plate there had come off, so he's going to have less grip on the front of the car for sure.
Felipe Drugovich is certainly having to work hard for this one, because Nikita Troitsky has been an ever-present in his shadow, and what might be causing a little bit of nervousness for the RP team is that Troitsky drops back and then seems to be able to get to within half a second almost at ease.
Yeah, that's the barrier for him at the minute, is that final half a second. If he can overcome that, then he's got a good chance of obviously slipstreaming down the straight. But I'd say Felipe still looks comfortable out in the lead. Obviously, it's trading lap times, 10th and 10th here, 10th there every lap. So.
And what hasn't happened yet is Nikita Troitsky having that cast iron opportunity to really challenge Felipe and try and force him offline. And it means that Felipe can just continue to do what he wants to do. However, they are going to, in fairly short order, encounter a little bit of traffic in the form of Tarun Reddy, and they're catching Reddy at a rate of just over a second a lap. Troitsky again gains through Sector 1. He'll have the benefit of not being quite in the turbulent air through Sector 2, so that will help him close up a little bit. Meanwhile, in the fight for third, that's really opened up. Amaya Weidenathan now 2 seconds clear of Joey Mawson, who has got Devlin Di Francesco right on his tail as they came through turn 4. So we'll see if that has changed a little bit. As in the background, glimpse of Weidenathan. And yep, there is Mawson still clear of Di Francesco. And this is a good lap for Troitsky. He has so far taken 2/10 out of Drugovic. Whether or not he's going to... really, Harrison, he needs to be about 3/10, doesn't he, adrift of Felipe as they finish the lap to be able to challenge down the straight.
Yeah, I think that's the mark that you're going to be able to get the slipstream and then kind of be able to make a move into the first corner. Half a second isn't quite big, small enough at the minute, so I think anything under that, then it's going to be close into turn 1.
Both drivers at work through the chicane. Now, I wonder if Di Francesco is going to have enough here for a pop at Joey Mawson, and he's got Lorenzo Colombo right with him. Here we go. This is the fight for 4th position. The white and fluorescent yellow car, the BVM entry of Joey Mawson, the royal blue Carling car of Devlin Di Francesco, and then Lorenzo Colombo in pursuit behind them. And as soon as Mawson has to start defending, suddenly Weidenathan is on his own in 3rd. So if you're Di Francesco, where do you go for the move? And we've seen quite a few times here that turn 5 can be a happy hunting ground if a nice hole is left to the inside.
Yeah, again, it's quite a small braking zone there, and it's downhill, so it becomes really tough to stop the car, which is why I think you've seen lots of close action there today in this race.
Wilson uses every inch of the road through turns 7 and 8, climbs uphill towards turn 9. Di Francesco trying to stay in that turbulent air behind the Australian. Maybe close enough to challenge for turn 10. Not likely on this occasion. But at the moment, Joey Mawson, a little bit of a cork in the bottle. He's now got a train of 5 cars forming behind him. Oh, and that's going to be a thump. Matteo Siorio and Pedro Cardoso. And sadly, it's been that sort of season for Matteo Siorio. He's been involved in quite a few incidents, and not that many of them his fault. We've got just 3 laps to run. And he is going to be in the gravel trap right at the edge of turn 5, out of the car, stalks away.
So that was at turn 5 there, that downhill hairpin.
And it lures you in because from a driver's perspective, you see a big gap, you think you can go for it, and it closes.
Yeah, exactly. And as soon as you're a touch late there on the brakes, it becomes so hard to stop the car. So.
And not, of course, that you've ever been involved in an incident in your career, but it's not a nice feeling when you know you've overcommitted and the car's not going to stop, and then it can all go quite badly wrong.
Yeah, it's such fine margins we're talking about as well, so just the slightest of errors, and if you're that close to a car, then it can prove quite costly.
So Iorio's car is right at the edge of the gravel trap, and there's not really enough time to scramble the safety car, so we might see that staying where it is through to the end of the race. What it does, though, for Devlin Di Francesco is eliminates an overtaking opportunity for him, because they're about to head into the final lap, and Di Francesco is not near enough to Joey Mawson really to make this move. Likewise for Felipe Drugovic and Nikita Troitsky. They're still 6/10 apart. So Felipe Drugovic, he got the launch from the line, and now Nikita Troitsky, he's going to have one final shot into turn 1. Can he do it? He seems to be a little bit too far back as they swoop out of the final turn. And the same for Devlin Di Francesco on Joey Mawson. So they accelerate down the home stretch. The braking zone for turn 1 awaits. Troitsky not near enough to challenge. It's just been an ever-present shadow for Felipe Drugovic, trying to force the mistake. Driving a little bit more economically through turn 3. On the brakes to turn 4, they will then see the yellow flags being waved on the exit, so they know that the Campos car remains in the gravel trap. They have to both back off and slow down to respect the yellow. The marshals have actually done a good job of removing that car. Nobody near enough to challenge on this final lap of the Euroformula Open season. And it looks as if it's going to finish as it started with an RP Motorsport victory, because Felipe Drugovich is being pressurised, but Nikita Troitsky is not near enough to make a move. If he does something now, it's going to be a real roll of the dice as they climb uphill out of turn 11 through turn 12. The pace builds. Troitsky is beginning to loom. Is he going to go for it into the chicane? It's going to be a very, very risky move if he does, but he's lining up, is he? On to the tail of Drugovich. He snatches a break. He's right with Felipe Drugovich as they head towards the final turn, but the Brazilian is going to do it as they accelerate through. The checkered flag goes out and Felipe Drugovich wins in Barcelona. Just a quarter of a second clear of Nikita Troitsky into second place, with Amir Vaidyanathan completing the podium ahead of Joey Mawson and Devlin De Francesco. And that is going to be enough to give De Francesco third in the championship. Lorenzo Colombo across the line in sixth from Yanni Fittia now. What about the Ben Hingley group fighting for 12th place? The good news is it's not become unhinged on the last lap, and so Hingley comes through ahead of Eliseo Martinez, Cameron Das and Pedro Cardoso, and the results through the field mean that Eliseo Martinez will have done to secure 10th in the championship. So they're all through and across the line. A thoroughly entertaining way to end the season. This is how they finish then. Drugovich takes the win from Nikita Troitsky in second, Amir Vaidyanathan in third, Joey Mawson fourth, Devlin De Francesco in fifth, and he completes the rookie podium behind Drugovich and Troitsky. Then Lorenzo Colombo in sixth, Yanni Fittia, and Simo Laxonen, Alex Karkozic and Thiago Vivacqua completing the top 10. Petru Florescu and Ben Hingley just outside the points, ahead of Eliseo Martinez, Cameron Das and Pedro Cardoso. Guilherme Smar dropped back from that battle late on, with Ludovico Laurini fending off Christian Hahn to the line, and Daniel Pranenko, the last of the finishers, in 19th after we lost Mateus Iorio and Tarun Reddy. So final check of the championship standings. Harrison Scott, our champion, from Nikita Troitsky. Devlin De Francesco third from Amir Vaidyanathan and Yanni Fittia in fifth, clear of Simo Laxonen and Alex Karkozic. Thiago Vivacqua finishing in eighth from Mateus Iorio and Petru Florescu. So an absolutely thrilling way to bring the season to a close, and that was a really tense race, Harrison.
Yeah, it was so close. Obviously, first and second the whole time. There wasn't ever no more than a second in it. So, no, Felipe did a great job, and I'm sure RP will be really pleased to obviously start the season with a win, and to end it with a win it just caps off an amazing year for the team.
Yeah, RP Motorsport have won 13 of the 16 races this year, which is pretty good going for them. Carlin Motorsport, 2 wins, and then victory for Campos with Thiago Vivacqua at the Hungaro ring. But for all these drivers, they've enjoyed the benefit of racing Formula 3 machinery on Grand Prix circuits, and some of the class of 2017 will return to the championship next year. Others will move on to pastures new, but it's been a really enjoyable season of racing. And now for Drugovich, he's got to work on the celebration when he gets into Parc Ferme.
It's always the fun bit.
And when you've won the race, what does that lap back to Parc Ferme feel like? What do you do?
You can probably finally breathe a bit calmer, and just soak it all in. You know, it's what everyone dreams of, is winning these sort of races. So you've really got to enjoy the moment. Obviously, stepping up onto the podium and tasting that champagne.
Felipe Drugovich rolls in to Parc Ferme, claiming the final race of the season, but only just from Nikita Troitsky, who really came at him on the last lap, but he wasn't quite able to force the move. And Brazilian does the almost obligatory nose stand now, leaps off to celebrate with the RP team. Barcelona always a happy hunting ground for the Italian squad. So congratulations to enjoy. And thinking, well, he can enjoy that after the event, but he had to work so hard for it with Nikita Troitsky behind him all the way through the race. For Nikita, another fine second place finish. Make that his 7th second place of the year. So he's always been there or thereabouts. Unfortunately for him, the win just eluding him throughout the course of the campaign. And Devlin De Francesco, another podium for the Canadian, or rather it may have had another podium.
Felipe Drugovich, a new winner for the last race of the series. How was it?
It was very good, as well as very tough. I think with a heat like this, the rear tires were coming off quite a lot to the end. But yeah, I couldn't keep up with Troitsky. So yeah, we too were quite quick compared to the others, so we put a good gap. But at the end, it was really difficult. He was really putting pressure on me, but luckily I could win.
It was different from yesterday.
Yeah, really different. Let's say to the half of the race, because up to there was quite the same, because I was leading. But then, yeah, really happy for the team, for me, and really want to say thank you to the team.
Thank you. All the best. We hope to see you next year. Bye.
From pole position, Amir Vaidnathan bogged down slightly off the line, and it meant that Felipe Drugovich was able to leap into the early advantage of the field, charge toward turn 1, with Nikita Troitsky going wheel to wheel with Yanni Fitcher for second place. Troitsky turned into second, as behind it all got a little bit messy. By the time it's shaken out, Amir Vaidnathan emerged in third, as behind there was some great scrapping through the field. Matteo Iorio and Ben Hingley going wheel to wheel for much of the race. Meanwhile, Italian rookie Lorenzo Colombo was busy carving his way up through the field, as Drivek's teammates Christian Hahn and Taryn Reddy disagreed over the right to the same piece of tarmac at turn 5. Late on, it was all about Campos and Teo Martin Motorsport in the midfield, which culminated in a very, very tight scrap, also involving Guilherme Samaya. So at the front of the pack, Drugovich and Troitsky were running nose to tail throughout the course of the race, with Vaidnathan in third under pressure. Unfortunately, late on, Iorio's season ended in the gravel trap after contact with Pedro Cardoso. Nikita Troitsky tried all he could through the final couple of turns, but it was to no avail, as Felipe Drugovich came through to take a lights-to-flag victory in just his second race in the Euroformula Open. Troitsky finishing in second position, with Amir Vaidnathan completing the podium. 5th place on the road and 3rd in the points-paying places, enough to secure 3rd in the standings for Devlin De Francesco. So on to the rostrum for Amir Vaidnathan, Nikita Troitsky, and race winner Felipe Drugovich once more for the RP Motorsport team. national anthem in honour of Felipe Drugovich. On to the presentation of the trophies, with third place from Air Weidenheithen. Very strong year in the championship for the Indian, finishing on a high. Nikita Troitsky couldn't quite wrestle the win away from Drugovich, but another podium finish in what's been a very successful season for the Russian and the Drivex team. Felipe Drugovich celebrates victory. Circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya, to the applause of the ARP team. And Harrison, as a driver, what do you learn from the Euroformula Open?
It's a perfect stepping stone into obviously FIA F3 car. The aero is pretty much the same. The only difference is FIA has the ultra downforce rear wing, and then the other difference is they use Hankook tyres, whereas we use Michelin. But in terms of overall feeling, it is so similar to the FIA, and obviously we get plenty of track time. There's no testing ban, so you can test as much as you like throughout the year. So it's that great first step into F3 category.
As the drivers celebrate with the bubbly on the rostrum, we will turn our attention to the rookie podium, which is where the drivers really are making that first step into the category, with Devlin DeFrancesco finishing third in the rookie class behind Nikita Troitsky and Felipe Drugovich. A moment for the drivers just to compose themselves before being announced back onto the rostrum. So third position for DeFrancesco. Runner-up, our rookie champion, Nikita Troitsky. And today's rookie winner and the overall race winner, Felipe Drugovich. Well, it's been a fantastic season of racing in the Euroformula Open, as we've wound our way around some fantastic tracks throughout Europe. The 2017 season has been claimed by Harrison Scott, with 12 victories along the way and a dominant and very worthy champion. Second place in the standings going to Nikita Troitsky and Devlin DeFrancesco, third in the championship. But today we have seen a potential star of the future in the form of Felipe Drugovich. We will be back on the 14th and 15th of April 2018 in Estoril. Until then, from Barcelona, it's goodbye.